Martha Stewart was the undisputed queen of domesticity, a mogul who transformed herself from a caterer into a cultural icon. By the early 2000s, her name was synonymous with taste, elegance, and pristine living. But behind the lace curtains and artfully arranged flower bouquets was a decision that would cost her a piece of her empire, her freedom, and nearly her legacy. Born on August 3, 1941 in Jersey City, New Jersey, Martha Stewart showed a unique blend of creativity and ambition early on. After a brief modeling career and a stint on Wall Street as a stockbroker, she turned her attention to catering, which evolved into Martha Stewart Living Omnimedia, a multimedia and merchandising juggernaut. By 2001, Martha was a billionaire on paper, with television shows, magazines, cookware lines, and the adoration of millions. But in December of that year, one decision changed everything. On December 27, 2001, Martha Stewart sold nearly 4,000 shares of a biotech company called Clone Systems, owned by her friend Sam Waxall. What seemed like a simple stock sale would soon spiral into a scandal that captivated the nation. Clone, founded by Sam Waxall, was awaiting FDA approval for its cancer drug Erbitux. Waxall, knowing the drug's rejection was imminent, tipped off family members who quickly sold their shares. On December 27, 2001, Martha Stewart's broker, Peter Bakanovich at Merrill Lynch, called his assistant, Douglas Fanuel, and instructed him to inform Martha that Waxall was dumping his shares. That call led Stewart to sell hers, avoiding a loss of about $45,000. When the FDA officially rejected Erbitux on December 28, Clone's stock plummeted. Federal investigators took notice. By June 2002, news leaked that Stewart had sold shares based on insider information. As the media frenzy grew, Stewart publicly claimed she had a pre-existing agreement to sell if the stock fell below $60. That explanation would later become a central issue in her legal downfall. Enter Douglas Fanuel, the young, bright-eyed assistant to Stewart's broker. A recent Brown University graduate, Fanuel had admired Stewart from afar. He considered her sale just another celebrity transaction until federal investigators knocked on his door. Initially, Fanuel parroted the company line about the $60 stop-loss order, but the pressure built and guilt gnawed at him. Eventually, he told prosecutors the truth. There was no standing order. In 2004, Stewart was indicted on charges not for insider trading itself, but for obstruction of justice, conspiracy, and making false statements to federal investigators. Her longtime friend Sam Waxall had already pleaded guilty to insider trading and was sentenced to over 7 years in prison. Meanwhile, Peter Bakanovich was indicted alongside Stewart. Stewart pleaded not guilty and stood firm. The trial began on January 20, 2004, in Manhattan Federal Court. Prosecutors portrayed her as deceitful and calculating, highlighting the $45,000 profit as the tip of an ethical iceberg. Stewart's defense insisted the sale was coincidental and that she was being targeted because of her fame. But the jury wasn't convinced. On March 5, 2004, Stewart was found guilty on 4 counts: conspiracy, obstruction of justice, and 2 counts of making false statements. On July 16th, she was sentenced to 5 months in prison, 5 months of home confinement, and 2 years probation. Stewart's legal saga unfolded against the backdrop of post-Enron America, a period of heightened scrutiny over corporate ethics and accountability. With public trust in big business at a historic low, prosecutors were under pressure to make an example of high-profile figures. Stewart, with her pristine image and enormous media presence, became an irresistible symbol. Some legal analysts argued that she was charged more harshly than a lesser-known executive might have been, not because her actions were worse, but because her fame amplified their impact. The government's case rested heavily on circumstantial evidence and credibility. There was no direct recording of the conversation that prompted Stewart's sale, only testimony and call logs. The pivotal moment came when Douglas Fanuel agreed to cooperate with investigators in exchange for immunity. His testimony painted a clear picture of coordinated action between Stewart and Bakanovich, directly undermining their defense. Also crucial to the case was the alteration of documentation. Prosecutors alleged that Bakanovich had directed Fanuel to create a phony record of a pre-existing $60 stop-loss agreement to support Stewart's story. This forged record became a key piece of evidence, demonstrating not just insider knowledge but an active attempt to mislead federal agents. The fallout wasn't limited to those directly involved. Stewart's company, Martha Stewart Living Omnimedia, saw its stock plunge nearly 23% in the weeks after the scandal broke. Advertisers and retail partners hesitated or distanced themselves, fearing brand damage. While Stewart retained the title of Chief Creative Officer during her incarceration, she stepped down as CEO and chairwoman to mitigate further harm to the company's image. During her trial and imprisonment, public opinion remained sharply divided. Some viewed her as a scapegoat, unfairly singled out because of her gender and celebrity. Others believed she had brought it on herself by refusing to admit wrongdoing or settle the case early. Notably, legal experts have pointed out that if Stewart had acknowledged the violation and cooperated from the beginning, she may have avoided criminal charges altogether. On October 8, 2004, Martha reported to Alderson Federal Prison Camp in West Virginia, nicknamed Camp Cupcake. There she took up crochet-mentored inmates and reportedly even helped improve the prison's holiday decorations. Her sentence ended in March 2005, and she resumed her role as CEO of her company later that year. Despite the prison's minimum security classification, her every move was reported with tabloid fervor. Yet behind the headlines, she reportedly maintained a disciplined routine. She woke early, exercised regularly, and kept busy with prison jobs like cleaning and sewing. Fellow inmates described her as reserved but courteous, and she kept to herself more often than not. Some reports indicated that Stewart pushed for reforms in prison operations, including more humane conditions for elderly inmates. But the impact of her actions lingered especially for Douglas Fanuel. His cooperation helped seal Stewart's fate, but it also came at a personal cost. Fanuel was vilified by some, seen as the betrayer of America's domestic goddess. He later recounted the emotional toll, saying, "I told the truth because I had to live with myself." But the backlash was brutal. Stewart, for her part, has never publicly condemned Fanuel, though their relationship was forever severed. Her supporters saw her as a scapegoat, punished more harshly because of her fame. Critics, however, saw a powerful figure who thought the rules didn't apply to her. In the years since her conviction, Stewart rebuilt her empire brick by brick. She launched new TV shows, formed unexpected partnerships, including with Snoop Dogg, and even returned to public favor. Her brand remains strong, her legacy complex. Upon her release, Stewart faced the formidable task of restoring her brand. She was prohibited from serving as a director of any public company for 5 years due to SEC sanctions, but she remained involved in MSLO's creative direction. Her return was marked by a carefully orchestrated media campaign, including television interviews, a best-selling book, and new product lines. She also hosted The Apprentice Martha Stewart, signaling her re-entry into mainstream pop culture. In 2011, Stewart regained full control of her company's board seat. Though MSLO would eventually be sold and folded into other media entities, Stewart continued to expand her personal brand. She became a symbol of resilience, a woman who had faced national humiliation and legal defeat, yet managed to re-emerge with her influence largely intact. The story of Martha Stewart is more than a tale of insider trading. It's a story about trust, image, and the slippery slope of justifying a small wrong in the face of overwhelming success. It's about Douglas Fanuel, a young man caught in the crossfire of ambition and accountability, and it's about the fall and rise of a woman who refused to let a prison sentence define her. From the carefully set dinner tables of Martha Stewart Living to the steel bars of Alderson Prison, this is a story of poise under pressure, public scrutiny, and personal reinvention. Martha Stewart's life remains a cautionary tale and a lesson in the art of the comeback. We are a growing channel and appreciate your support. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video so we can keep making more content and continue to improve our quality. We at the Capital Curiosity team thank you for your support and can't wait to bring you even better content in the future.